Hi, I'm Bruce Tyrrell, and I'm going to show you how you can export from Adobe Lightroom. Let's start off with bringing in the lessons from Chapter 11. So I actually like to just drag and drop. You can definitely go to the import module if you want, but I just like to grab the folder, drop it right onto Lightroom. There it is. Boom, add the keyword of lesson 11. Previews are one-to-one. Don't need smart previews. And we're good. Import. That was set to add, by the way. I'm not going to copy them. They're already on my desktop. Okay, so now let's start off with why we even need exporting. Because one of the things that's really important to understand is that Lightroom is a non-destructive editor. So let me just quickly grab this picture right here, this neat texture, and I'm going to do some funky things to it. Let's first of all make it black and white, and I'm going to quickly throw a gradient across it, and I don't know, let's just do that. It looks awful, but the whole point is that it is now way different than the original. Let's look at the original again, back in chapter 11. There it is right there. It hasn't changed at all. I've made several changes to it. Right there. Okay, hasn't changed at all. It doesn't get deleted, it doesn't get changed, nothing. But what if I now want this picture? I need to export it. And so what we do is you can go File and pick Export, or if you are in the grid mode or the library, here you'll see Export appears down here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually pick 3 photos just to make life easier. Boom. Okay. So I want to export these 3 photos. Let's click Export. And you get this window. When you get it, it's really kind of annoying. It's usually really quite small, and you have to open it up. Large as you can make. You'll see you have all of these. And let's start off. Export location. This is pretty easy, actually. So what I'm going to do, first of all, I'm going to actually pull this over here so that you can still see me down in the corner. All right, so export to specific folder. You've got a whole bunch of different options here, places you can just quickly toss them. I usually use specific folder, choose, this is where it's going to go. I'm going to the desktop, Lightroom, lesson 11. Okay, I'm going to pick choose. Now, put in subfolder. I'm going to say that this is going to be export example. You can have these pictures added to the catalog that you're working in if you wanted to. Or you can also tell it to add to stacks and all different things. Don't normally do that, but some people might. Existing files. Okay, so if you already have the names, those names in there, you can overwrite without warning. That can be dangerous. You can choose a new name for the exported file, or just skip those particular ones. I like actually for just to ask me what to do, so I pick each one. Next is file naming. File naming works pretty much exactly the same as the file naming, the renaming on importing. So you've got your, I use custom name sequence, you've got all the same selections here and the edit so that you can create your own names when each of these pictures is being exported. So I can say export example, and you'll see here it has export example 1 and a start number. We can start it at 5. We already have that. All the same stuff as before. Okay, so you've got video in here. I gotta be honest, I never use Lightroom for video. I mean, if you want to learn about it, then go for it. You can export it. Yay, you can change the video formats, all that kind of thing. Let's move on. File settings, image format. you can pick JPEG, PSD, TIFF, digital negative, a DNG, or the original. In this particular case, we're going to pick JPEG. The quality, I'm going to say 100. You can limit the file size and the color space, which is actually more important than you think. You might need to look it up depending on whether you're sending it to a printing company or whatever. Make sure that they're using the same color space that you are. Image sizing. Well, that's, again, pretty self-explanatory. If you want it automatically cropped to certain sizes, you can pick that. Output sharpening, because this is going to be on a computer screen rather than being printed on paper. You can pick sharpening for that and play around with these settings. Metadata, you can have things tossed in there. You might want to remove location info. Keep in mind that if you took a picture using your phone, that the location info will be automatically put on there, your GPS data. And so you might not want that posted for the world to see. So you might want to remove the location info. Watermarking. This is really cool. I love this thing about Lightroom. It's fabulous. So I'm going to obviously turn on the watermarking, and I'm going to go on down here and say Edit Watermarks. Just like the other things in Lightroom, when this opens up for you, it'll probably be really quite small. So you're going to need to grab this corner, make it a whole lot larger so that you can see what's going on. And let me explain what a watermark is. Basically, a watermark is this thing right up here. It's an overlay that goes on your pictures when you export them, so you can relate information to the client. Now, there's really two different types of watermarks that you can do. The first one would be when you want people to order proofs or something along those lines. So you might want to have right across the front here, let's put it smack dab in the middle, and we're going to say Barrhead Composite Proof. And we're going to make the size really large. And to tell you the truth, probably want to bring the opacity kind of down. What I like to do for pictures of people is I like to put it just underneath the chin. So they can still see the picture, but if they want to buy it, then they're going to need to pay for it, essentially. That's really what it is when you're doing a proof. And you want to make it just bright enough so that it's a little bit embarrassing and makes the person look kind of cheap if they post it on Facebook and it says proof written across it. That's the first thing that I use for watermarking. Second thing is more of an advertisement or a signature. That's way different. That would go like down in the bottom corner or top corner. If you want an advertisement, you're not going to say proof. You're going to throw in, there you go, Barrhead Composite, name of our high school. And I want it to be seen. So you can play around with all of these different things, play with the color. This is white. You're going to want some black around there. That's why I actually have the shadow that I add on there. Play around with the opacity of the shadow, etc., offset it, blah, 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 all those kinds of things. If you want it to be an advertisement, then you want it to be seen. If you want it to be a signature, then you're probably going to want to reduce it a little bit. And you play around. Now, let's say, for instance, that you wanted it to be right underneath this line right here. You'll notice that Lightroom only lets you put it in certain spots. And yes, you can adjust vertically. You can do that. But you notice you've only got so far that you can do. And same thing with horizontal, only so far out that it will give me. So how do you get it to be exactly underneath this line? Well, what I do is this. I put it there, and then I go in and I just add a couple of carriage returns. There. Now it's where I want it to be. And that's just kind of the workaround for this thing in Lightroom. It's a little bit weird, I have to admit. I hope that Adobe makes that change at some point. If you actually know of a better way or something like that, please let me know. Okay, so here we have our watermark. It's set up, and maybe actually I might pull it a little bit further out, because remember, if you're going to be printing it, it's going to trim the edges just a touch. Okay, any changes that I've made to the watermark at all are going to need to be saved. If I hit save here, it's going to automatically come up and say, hey, do you want to save this as a new preset? So I can type in the new preset, so BCHS, or I can also go in and update the preset that I have. One other thing that I should point out is that you can also pick graphics. So for instance, here's a graphic that we made for our school. I'll just bring the opacity up here, and you can see that we made this in Photoshop. It has to have a transparent background if you want it to be transparent, obviously. And it's a little large, you know. We'll bring it down here like that. Taking a look at it on this picture, doesn't work terribly well where it's at. And I would probably need to go into Photoshop and add maybe a little bit of white around it in order to bring it out. Okay? But you can add graphics in, and that's kind of neat. All right, so if I wanted this, I would say update the preset. It would take me out of here. At the moment, I'm just going to hit cancel because I don't want to save this. And then the last thing is post-processing, which is after export, what do you want? To tell you the truth, whenever I export something, I want to use it right away. I want to put it online or whatever, send it to people. So I almost always pick Show in Finder. But you can throw this to other applications, all sorts of things on there, or just say do nothing. Okay, so now I am going to export 3 files. Now I know it's 3 files because it says it up here. Please also note, actually, I'm going to go back to Watermark and show you very quickly that in Watermarking, you can scroll through your different pictures and realize, oh no, that's totally not going to work for all of the things that I have. So then you go back and you have to change your stuff and everything like that, and put it down here and bring the opacity up so then you can actually see it on all of the pictures. Very often I end up exporting and then redoing certain ones that didn't work. Okay, so just so you know, you can scroll through all of your pictures that way. Alright, and so now I'm going to export them. So hit export, exports my 3 files, and boom, it brings it up in here, and I have all of these pictures now as JPEGs, and they have my watermark that I've placed on them. So that's it in regards to exporting from Lightroom. I hope that you're able to learn something, and just leave a message in the comments if I've missed anything or anything like that. Thanks very much. Bye.